I sometimes think there are two groups of people in this world. People who do things and people who block things. I'm in the first group and Chris is definitely in the second. Sometimes it feels like every time I want to do something, there's a barrier that stops me in my tracks. That barrier is Chris, in case that wasn't clear. I did try and explain this to him once, but I don't think he got it. The reason I mention this is that I've been putting a lot of thought recently into the design of the set for summer and springtime. Well, I actually put together a short 80-page document setting out my ideas in detail. It would have looked incredible. You'll notice I used the word would there. That's because I showed the document to Chris, who's in charge of building the set, and he flat out rejected all of my ideas. Apparently, we don't have anywhere near enough money to pay for it all, so it's goodbye to the rotating stage and trapdoors and all the other great stuff I had planned. I said to Chris, you can't put a price on quality, but he said that you can, and that price is £15,000. I did offer to chip in a couple of £100 out of my own pocket, but Chris said that unless I was willing to chip in about 14 grand, there wasn't much point. And I wasn't. Even my idea for the dramatic final scene where my character rescues his love from a burning barn was rejected. Apparently, starting a real fire on stage would breach several different health and safety regulations, which is a shame, but well, I suppose you can't mess about when it comes to health and safety. My idea to have a live horse on stage didn't get any traction either, even though I know a guy who has a horse he could have lent us. He was up for it and everything. He's going to be incredibly disappointed it's not happening. That's going to be an awkward conversation. So then I thought, why don't I just build the set myself and save money that way? I mean, I want to assemble a bookcase in under 2 hours, so I'm pretty sure that I can build a set. I mean, how hard can it be? I'll be honest, I was wrong. It turns out that it's actually very hard to build a set when you don't have any skills or experience. I did manage to put something together, but it ended up looking like a child's school project. And not a good one. You know, if the teacher was being generous, they'd probably give it 5 out of 10 at best. Then I always took my thumb off with a saw and decided it was time to concede defeat. Turns out, it's a lot easier to build something when all the pieces have been ready for you and there's a set of instructions telling you what to do. I suppose better give Chris a call, see if he'll help build it for me after all. It looks like we might have another avenue for bringing some money in. The committee has decided to apply for a council grant which is available for community groups. It was pretty much my idea. Well, it was me who had the idea that we needed to raise some money. It was Charles who actually had the idea of the grant, but he was really just putting the icing on the cake that I had already baked. We're actually in a pretty healthy financial position at the moment, so I suppose strictly speaking, we don't need the money, but I think this whole fiasco with the set design demonstrates that we could always do with some more. About £14,000 more to be precise. Obviously, as treasurer, I've taken responsibility for the application and made an appointment with the person at the council who's overseeing it. Some chap called Dave Marsden. I feel like I recognise that name from somewhere, but I can't quite place where. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I assume the meeting is pretty much a formality. I mean, I can't imagine they're going to give the grant to anyone else once it's in our application. And we're operating on a different level to any other community group in the area. Well, that could have gone better. Turns out that I recognised Dave's name because he auditioned for a previous play I was directing and didn't get a part. I don't know why he's still got a chip on his shoulder about it. I thought he'd got over it by now, but it's pretty clear that he hasn't. It was the first thing he mentioned. As I said to him though, the reason that he didn't get a part was because he wasn't very good. It had absolutely nothing to do with nepotism, despite what he suggested. Having said that, it is possible I didn't help the situation by finding his audition notes on my laptop and spending most of the meeting giving him notes rather than pitching. He obviously doesn't welcome constructive criticism. He made that very clear. I might give India a call, see if she can smooth things over with him. Well, she's good with people. I think it comes from being a teacher. Well, do you think it will help? Yeah. Well, you're new to the players, so you can't blame me for the decision to not give them a part. Although, do be very clear that the decision was justified. Yeah. No. Okay, point taken. Yeah. Alright, well I'll see you Thursday then. Yeah. Okay, bye. Well, it looks like that's a non-starter. India made the point, and she's quite right. that it might not be the best idea for her to get involved, considering that she doesn't know anything about the players or our finances, so she probably struggles to make a persuasive case on our behalf. Oh well. I'm sorry to report that the players have been the victim of a grave injustice. As I suspected, we have not been awarded the grant money, which I have to say I think is incredibly unprofessional. I've looked into the group they did give it to. They're a charity that helps young people find work, which is great if you're a young person. A lot of people aren't. We're open to all ages. I'm very tempted to submit a formal complaint, but Charles reckons that it would do more harm than good, so I think we're just going to have to accept the injustice and move on. For some reason, certain people seem to be pinning the blame for this one on me, which I think is very unfair. It's not my fault that Dave Marsden can't act. I made it very clear to the committee that I fully support adding Dave's name to the players' blacklist. Unbelievably, Charles then informed me that the players don't even have a blacklist. Well, obviously in that case, I said, we needed to create one as soon as possible. I've got at least 5 names that could go on it immediately. Unfortunately, the rest of the committee didn't feel that was in keeping with the spirit of the players, so I suppose I'm just going to have to create my own personal blacklist. And you can rest assured that Dave Marsden's name will be top of it. Now the grant's gone, I suppose we'll have to come up with some other ways to raise money. We could always increase ticket prices. I went to a West End show and they were charging £90 for some seats. I don't think people would pay that here though. They kicked off when we raised ticket prices by 50p. We could always do a bake sale. On second thoughts, that's probably not the best idea. I've tried people's baking before. I think people would probably pay not to eat them. That's not a bad idea actually. Maybe I'll bring that up at the next committee meeting.